Some shoes are made for morning run, some are made for the marathon, and some are made for people who look at 100 miles and say, warm up done, let's run. This is the ultra world, the universe of people who cross the mountains at night when I do the healthy thing, sleeping deeply. So I'm more of a long distance walker. I did more than 20 Caminos, but this year I also started running ultras. So I wanted to know, does shoes made for people who don't sleep can teach something to those who just want to wake up and walk tomorrow? And to find out, we decided to walk across Sicily from north to south, nearly 200 kilometers, with more than 5,500 meters of elevation gain. But the shoes were not only the reason actually we went there. The route was the Magna Via Francigena, the walk across Sicily from north to south, and for Erica, this was a return to south of Italy after years away. For me, it was a questionable decision of starting a demanding route in a brand new shoes. At this time was the Mount to Coast H1, a road to trail shoe. It sounded about right because Sicily doesn't give you just one surface, it keeps changing. Neyman started with Palermo with the cathedral, their first stamp and the pilgrim's credential, the city noise, and of course, a coffee before leaving, because in Italy, the walk can wait, but the coffee cannot. For Erica, even those first streets felt a bit like coming back to the south. The noise, the coffee, the way people talk, the way life happens outside. You see, it was memories, it was family, a place she had been hesitating to walk for a long time. We started climbing out of the city and very quickly the road became pavement, road and more climbing. Not the most beautiful way to test the shoe, but a very honest one. Road walking is hard on the body. The ground is firm, the impact repeats, the heat comes back from below, and after a few hours your feet and legs start to notice everything. With the ultra distance shoes, which in majority looks like a big sleeping pillow inside of the shoe, there is always that question. Is all the cushioning actually helpful, or does it feel like it's too much? Because I didn't only want a soft shoe. I wanted to know if it felt stable, if it worked on climbs, and if I could still walk into the village bar without looking like I had escaped from the science experiment. And on the first day, the H1 made sense. It felt smooth on the roads, but not wobbly. There was enough cushion to take some of the sharpness of the pavement, but I still felt in control. And yes, it looks still like a running shoe, but still an acceptable way. After all the pavement and climbing, we finished the day in Santa Cristina Gela, in the small bar with the proper Sicilian cannolo and a very well-deserved rest. For the first day in the brand new shoes, it was a good start. My feet were tired, but they were okay. But that was still an easy question. Day one was mostly roads. The next day, Sicily stopped being polite. The next morning, we felt Santa Cristina Gela, and very quickly Sicily changed the question. Day one had been all mostly roads, which was useful, but still simple. Day two was different. The route started climbing, the path became messier, and suddenly we were dealing with mud, water crossing, gravel, wet rocks, heat, and the log section when there was not really anywhere to stop. It was more than 7 hours walking before Corleone with almost no proper break. And this is where I stopped thinking about cushioning. Can you hear that?
It's an airplane.
And just after the airplane?
Water running.
And just after the water running?
Flies. Bzz.
And just after there must be a silence. Yeah. Wow, it's this route, this stage today. At that point, I wanted to know if the road to trail actually meant something. The shoes went ankle deep in mud, then into the wet, then into the water, then back onto dry ground, gravel, and climbing again. And what I liked the most, that I didn't have to think about them too much. When the path is messy, you are trying to find a way. Your brain is already busy enough. You are looking at markers, checking where to cross, trying not to put the foot in the worst possible place, and trying to keep moving because the day is getting long. And it didn't want the shoe to become another problem. And that day, they didn't. They had enough grip for the muddy sections, they felt stable enough on wet rocks, and after getting wet, they didn't become heavy and annoying. My feet also dried faster than I expected, which mattered in the heat. By the time we were in Corleone, the shoes were filthy, really filthy, but my feet were fine. No blisters, no angry rubbing, no moments where I wanted to stop and fix something. That was the result I cared about. The shoe looks destroyed, my feet didn't. But day 2 was still only the terrain test. The bigger question was coming later, because one hot day tells you something, and the several days in a row tell you much more. Then came day 4, and by then it was not the first impression anymore. We had already walked several long days, and by the end of this stage we would be close to 100 kilometers, which is more than many pilgrims walk in the full week on the Camino. So when we left Prizzi that morning, the shoes were not meeting fresh feet anymore. They were meeting feet that had already done roads, mud, water, and the long hours. The morning started slowly. Packing took longer, the body was already complaining, and the coffee in the locker bar felt less like a nice Italian detail and more like something required to function.
Your face says everything.
Then for Erika, these towns were not a reason Sicily mattered. Not postcard Italy, but the old bars, quiet streets, people watching from doorways, and places that feel alive and forgotten at the same time. Then we started climbing again towards the Sicily mountains, and we were definitely not fresh anymore. Every climb felt longer than it looked, and every piece of shade became a good excuse to stop. This is where the shoe had to answer the different question. Day 1 was about hard ground, day 2 was about messy ground, but day 4 was about whether I could still live with the same shoe after several demanding days. Because when you are tired, small problems get louder. A little rub, a bit of pressure, your toes touching the front on descent, a heel moving in just enough to annoy you, any of those things can become a thing you think about all day. And day 4 already had enough going on. The climb out to Prizzi, the Sicily forest and the abandoned village with houses, a school, nobody there, and then the descent towards Castronovo with those huge views that makes you stop even when your legs are not interesting in beauty anymore. By then, I didn't need the shoe to feel exciting. I needed them to stay out of the way. And that is what I noticed. No new rubbing, no strange pressure, no toe problems on the descent, and no moment where I thought, I wish I had chosen something else. By the end of the day, after nearly 100 kilometers of road, mud, water, that was a very good sign. The shoe didn't add the problem, and on the long walk, that matters a lot. After day 4, I stopped thinking about them as a new shoe. I just kept putting them on in the morning, and Sicily kept changing. Some days started on the road, then turned into the gravel, and then the hard ground again. It was never just one type of walking for a very long. And I didn't have to keep asking myself, is that the right shoe for this section? It was fine on the road, it was fine on the gravel, and fine when the day got long. And that is very Camino, because most Caminos are not on one surface either. Even on the easier routes, the day can change quickly. You can start on the road, walk into the village on cobblestones, and then finish with the descent when your legs are already tired. So by the end of Sicily, I wasn't thinking, this is the best shoe ever. I was thinking, I'll keep using these. And maybe that says more, because some shoes are fine for the trip, but you don't reach for them again. With these, I did. So you see, after the Sicily, we also walked Camino Inglés with those shoes. I do my daily runs on mixed terrains, and I think I did more than 800 miles. And I think I can answer the question. Can shoe made for people who don't sleep did something for those who just want to wake up tomorrow and keep walking? Yes, but not in the way I and you expected. The lesson is not that Pilgrim needs the ultra trail running shoes, and it's not the one shoe that solves every route. The lesson is that the ultra trail shoes are designed around a very important moment. Not the first step, but the tired one. And this is where the Camino tests you too. After the feet have swollen, after the descent starts, after the weather changes, after you wake up and realize you have to walk again, this is where the shoe matters. Not because it makes Camino easy, because it doesn't make the day harder. And this is what I liked about this Mount to Coast H1. For me, this became the shoe I kept reaching for when the day was going to be mixed. Road, gravel, easy terrain, travel days, running days, the Camino style walking. I would use it for the routes like Camino French way, Portuguese way, Camino Inglés, and many stages of Camino del Norte. I would not choose it for the very rough mountain terrain, steep, mud, roots, you name it, because I would like something a bit more prepared. But for the kind of long distance walking where the road and trail keep meeting each other, this shoe made sense for me. Then maybe the clearest answer is, after more than 800 miles, and you can see they already been there, I would choose this again. And not because they are perfect, because they fit a real place in my walking and running life. And this is what I want from a shoe. Not a miracle, just something I can trust when the day gets long. So, if you like those shoes, Mount to Coast H1, I will leave the link below. And some links obviously might be affiliate links, which means you don't pay more, but it helps us to keep the free Camino long distance walking videos. But don't buy shoes just because they worked for me. Use this video to ask better questions. What route am I walking? What ground will I meet? And what happens to the feet after several hours? And by the way, let me know in the comments, have you ever found a shoe that just worked for the way you walk? And if you want more videos about Camino long distance walking, the gear we test and how does journey impact us, subscribe, you're not gonna regret it. And if you want to see how I protect myself from blazing sun all year long, especially on the long distance walking days, I think you should watch this video just here.
So this brand used to be called Mount to Coast. Now it's called Mount Mud to Mud.